Hey everyone, so let's talk about 5 signs that you're awake. And what does it really mean to be awake? Well, perhaps we can leave that for another discussion for another time. But number one is you don't watch TV anymore. Why would you have a television when you've got a vision of your own? So one sure sign that you're awake is that you're generating and developing an inner vision, an intuition, an imagination, a strong curiosity for the mystery that surrounds us all. So unfortunately, the archons of control know fine well that if you're watching television, then you're going to be spoon-fed misinformation. They know that as we think, so we feel, so we act. So the whole idea behind this despotic agenda is to ultimately centralize people's perception and cause people to not think for themselves, but to have this unthinking respect and authority, as Albert Einstein said, right? So unfortunately, what happens is that we outsource our power to the media. We've already outsourced it to the headmasters and the headmistresses of the world. But then just to sort of stamp the boot in the face, let's now just get all of this priest class on the television and let's get all these people to tell us the way things are, And so, if we're not careful, we end up in this excessively consumerist-based society, which is of course what we live in today, where people have forgotten to actually independently and critically think. And that is, of course, unfortunately, the condition that we're in today. But one sure sign, of course, that you are awake is that you don't really resonate with the television anymore. What is it they're actually going to show you on there that it genuinely interests you? Occasionally there might be some sort of documentary or something, but that's pretty much on a surface level. They're never going to cut to the chase, right? They're never going to be asking the big philosophical questions. They're never going to actually be causing us to think. They just want to constantly tell us what to think. And that's, pretty much the hallmark of Western education, which is unfortunately a very sorry state of affairs, which leads to the sort of society we live in. Number two, you know that politics is a scam. So this is a bit of a red pill for people because I think a lot of people still want to sort of hang on to this illusion of democracy. It's seemingly a choice in front of us, we can choose the left or the right, but what if they're just two wings of the same bird, which is in fact the case? So what this ultimately does, again, is it outsources our power. It gives us a false hope, a false belief, false faith in authority again. And so what happens is the fruitage of politics is ultimately what we're seeing today, which is where you see 99.9% of population essentially static in regards to social change, right? And this is because we're so besotted. Our gaze is focused upon these politicians who say they're going to do this, say they're going to do that. It makes us feel as though we don't need to do anything because they've got our best interests at heart. They're fighting, they're squabbling about whether we should do this, whether we should do that. And it all just sort of goes over people's heads. But of course, if you've got a team of 100 people and only one person does work, you're not going to see any progress. If you've got an entire population of people who are staring at people on the screen, thinking that they're sort of trying to do this and trying to do that, now at what point do people become inspired to actually start undertaking their own projects? Of course, this is what New Earth Land is trying to do. We're trying to inspire people to become a part of the change they want to see in the world. Shelter, energy, food and water, those basic things should be basic human rights, right? And so, when we see the simplicity, like John Lennon said, he thinks they're all insane. What's going on? What on earth? What are politicians actually trying to do? And how is it people haven't clocked it yet? Election after election, year after year, right? The days keep going by, and everything's just getting worse, right? So why is it people have such a hard time to actually put two and two together and say that the more we outsource our power to these people, the worse things are going to get? So what we need to do is come together. We need to start creating our own projects, right? We need to start realizing that we are the government. We are the 97%. So we need to be more proactive, right? But that is essentially number two. That politics is a scam. You wouldn't bother voting because all you realize is that you're changing the players, not changing the game. We need a new game, and we can call it algorithm. We can call it post-capitalism. But let's not get caught up with these labels because that's all a part of the scam, right? To polarize the people. But now we have this affinity for oneness again, right? We need to realize the whole paradigm that we've been born into is purely mind manipulation, right? This is where the psyop is, right? Hence the term psychological operation. The whole thing is a psychological manipulation which is causing us to behave in certain ways that ultimately aren't for our own good. And we end up in the sort of stagnant world in which we live. Number 3, this is maybe quite deep for the newbies. You've realized that you're not in your head. You've realized that you are an infinite universal awareness. You are creation itself. You're not trapped inside this tiny little organism, although a certain microscopic aspect of you may be, right? You are the genie trapped in the bottle to some extent. But you're also everything that's outside yourself, because what is everything? Everything is just energy, right? We've got all these labels, we've got these nouns. That's a tree, it's Monday today, there's a car, there's another person. But really, all this is just energy experiencing itself. All there are is like structures, forms, shapes, textures, tones, so on and so forth. And this is all being animated by mind. Mind and matter being opposite conditions of the same thing. You are mind. I am mind. And when you start to evaporate your consciousness, you start to evolve into your true being, into your true nature, which is universal. You begin to see this. This is the case. Now, we're not existent solely within the contents of the cranium. And of course, we're talking lots about how we can stimulate the left and the right brain hemisphere and get that genie out of the bottle and make you realize, that you are, in fact, the universe experiencing itself subjectively throughout all of these different perspectives. It's one of these things like I've been talking about, but I don't want to talk about it in a great detail because it's perhaps a bit further along for people. Ultimately, what I'm trying to do is create true freedom on the planet, first and foremost. So we perhaps need to sort of compartmentalize this information. And, also, if you've got any ideas about how we can reach more people at New Earth, then absolutely get in touch, because that's where I'm really struggling. I feel like the vision is all there. Everything is laid out for New Earth. It could happen tomorrow, but we just haven't got the reach. We can't reach the people. But anyway, that's number 3. We'll talk about that in more detail going forwards, because it's ultimately a whole paradigm shift. Everything has been inverted by these by this cult. These archons of control, the architects of control, and we aren't just matter. We are mind. First and foremost. But yeah, there we go. That's number 3. Number 4 is you've stopped eating junk food. Because that is the sort of unconscious intoxication or unconscious poisoning of the physical vehicle that's actually carrying your consciousness through your life. So why would you unconsciously poison yourself, right? As soon as you come into awareness, you open up this dialogue with your higher self, which is by way of the receptor known as the Ajna chakra, beyond wisdom, the third eye chakra. You've opened up a dialogue with a higher version of yourself, and now you're more of a guardian of your temple, right? Let's think of the body as a temple. It's a structure. It's a fine building. Think of your body as a sculpture. Like they say in the Hermetic philosophy, who made such a beautiful form? Who made such a beautiful structure? How many statues and art, or what is it like? How many works of art have been created to form a single human being, right? Statues and portraits don't just happen without painters and sculptors. Has such a sublime work no creator? You are that creator, right? You are the created, you are the creature, but you're also the creator. You are the orchestrator and coordinator and curator of your life, right? But you've stopped eating McDonald's, you've stopped eating Burger King, you've stopped eating everything like this, right? Because you've realized that we are living in a society in which junk food has been normalized. And of course, what's going to happen every now and then is they're going to rebrand that and say that's caused by one of those spiky things, right? That they see floating around, these mythological structures, which they call VIRUSs, right? So if people could just realize that if you eat healthily, if you drink healthily, if you stop intoxicating yourself with alcohol, okay, if you get out of these cities which are incredibly polluted, you will realize that health is the natural state. Right, you will realise that you can't catch disease in the same way that you can't catch health. Right, that's a whole wormhole. We've been talking about that before. Trying to keep these videos under 10 minutes. Number 5 is you've lost all your friends. Okay, because this is the point, right? The whole hero's journey is about you as an individual in this society, in this collective, in this community. Right, you can't ask these other people to evolve at the same rate as you're evolving. So naturally, as you embark on your path of illumination and awareness of the notion that you are actually this universal being, then naturally these people who are perhaps in your life for a long period of time are now falling away, just don't resonate with them anymore, you know. And this is actually, you know, this destructive aspect of Illuminism is actually perhaps one of, personally, the most difficult things to overcome, because it can be a very lonely journey. You know, we're born alone, we die alone. Only sort of we get mixed up with these other people that are seemingly outside ourselves. Do we feel like we're actually not alone? But you know, it's sort of like a two-way thing. Like, it depends how you want to look at that. Okay, we can talk about that in more detail, because there is ultimately just one of us here, but we're experiencing an illusion. Just how a magician performs his illusions. They're experienced as illusory, but to him, when you see through the illusion, you realise, you know, it for what it is. So there we go. There's 5 real quick, sure signs that you're on the path, the sovereign path, the Siddhartha road to an illuminated psyche and the awareness, direct experience that you are what man calls God, if not for a brief moment of time as a form of a godlet, right? A microcosm of the macrocosm, but in potential we are absolutely the universe itself. Do come together, connect, share, support, newf.land. We'll be talking about, you know, all these kind of various topics to do with enlightenment, to do with higher consciousness, right? To do with how we can actually build a better world for everyone, not just ourselves, but for everyone. Because of course, the best way to serve ourselves is to serve others. We will realise that actually we can live in a much better world with, like, you know, freedom, abundance, well-being. All of these things can absolutely occur as soon as we realise that we just need to organise ourselves effectively. As those who love war, as Martin Luther King said, because they're very organised, right? They're very coordinated. They're getting stuff done. So we need to be as coordinated as them. And the only way we can do that is by using this relatively new piece of technology called the internet. So what a fantastic tool that we have, you know, social media, right? Let's use this more wisely to usher in a new age on Earth. You know, this is, we've won the war, guys. You know, it's over. We've just got to sort ourselves out. You know, we've got to make our way now into this golden age where we will all be living our lives the way that we truly want to, right? We'll be finding the work that we want to actually perform on a daily basis, and we'll also be free, truly free, to live our lives the way we want to. Anyway, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one, and do get in touch if you've got some cool ideas about how we can reach more people, because there's only so long I can really talk to myself. Anyway, thank you very much. See you in the next video.